The 2025 MotoGP season has created a storyline unlike anything we've witnessed in years past. At the center of this evolving drama are the Marquez brothers, Marc and Alex, who are not only competing for the World Championship, but also navigating the complex and often tense political landscape of the MotoGP paddock. And now, during the summer break, one of the most intriguing and unexpected subplots has started to unfold in front of us. Ducati seems to have quietly blocked Marc Marquez's personal push to bring in the next MotoGP superstar. But to fully understand the underlying tension within Ducati and throughout the paddock, you must first recognize the truly rare and emotional dynamic in play. This season is not just about racing. It's about two brothers, side by side, not only fighting for victories, but for a legacy in the sport. Marc and Alex Marquez have shared the MotoGP grid since 2020. But this is the first time both are genuine title contenders. Marc is leading the championship with 8 Grand Prix wins and 11 sprint race victories from the first 12 rounds. Meanwhile, Alex is sitting in second place, impressively outperforming factory riders despite racing on year-old equipment. Their father, Julia Marquez, recently shared insight into how the family is coping with the championship pressure. Speaking with CNN, he explained that, like any family, they argue, but their disagreements only last for about 5 minutes. After that, everything returns to normal between them. He added that their relationship is stronger and closer than ever, which he finds amazing. As a father, he deliberately separates his parenting role from their careers. He supports them, but doesn't interfere in their professional decisions. When they're away from the track, Julia says he becomes a father again, free to act naturally without stepping into their racing world. Both Marc and Alex have turned their rivalry into motivation. Marc mentioned that they talk about how the bike feels, but each has his own strategy, his own crew, and his own riding style. They might experience the bike differently, but the lap times are always very close. Alex, being the younger brother, summed it up in his own way. He said that every day he wants to beat Marc on the bicycle, in the gym, in everything. And that daily competition helps push both of them to a higher level, while the relationship between the brothers continues to flourish. Internal politics at Ducati might be cracking. Despite Alex Marquez's incredible performances this year, with Gresini on the GP24, his dream of joining his brother in the factory Ducati team seems to be fading. And this is not a question of his performance or results. It's about his age and image. Michael Laverty from TNT Sports put it bluntly, saying that although every part of Alex would love that factory seat next to his brother, the reality is different. Ducati is an Italian brand, and it's hard to imagine them replacing an Italian champion with Alex, especially as he approaches his 30s. Former world champion Neil Hodgson was even more direct, saying he would be very surprised if Ducati signed Alex. In his view, Ducati would rather sign a rider in his early 20s than someone who will be 31 by the time the seat is available. Even though Alex is Marc's closest challenger this year, Ducati remains loyal to Pecco Bagnaia, who has won only one race this season, a race he only won because Marc crashed out while leading. Pecco insists that he still has the full support of Ducati CEO Claudio Domenicali. Pecco says that Domenicali speaks with him after every race, wants to understand the details, and remains deeply involved. But this level of loyalty may be limiting Ducati's ability to plan for the future. It may be blocking Alex's promotion, and it may be limiting Ducati's flexibility. Now enters the name Diego Morera. The young Brazilian Moto2 star has exploded onto the scene in 2025 with raw speed, fearless overtakes, and a string of milestone moments. He is the first Brazilian to win in Moto2 since Alex Barros, and, at just 21 years old, he's being pursued by Yamaha, Aprilia, and Honda. But Marc Marquez wants him at Ducati, according to several reports, including from Sky Italia. Marc is lobbying Ducati to create a place for Morera immediately. One report even stated that Marc's voice carries significant influence within Ducati. But so far, that influence is being met with resistance. Ducati has reportedly offered Morera a contract, but not for 2026. Instead, they want to keep him in Moto2, with the Teltrans for another year and only promote him in 2027, the only Ducati-affiliated seat available in 2026 is at VR46, which is currently held by Franco Morbidelli, for Morera to join Ducati in 2026. VR46 would have to give up that seat, something they don't seem willing to do. VR46 wants to keep Morbidelli and are also keeping an eye on Pedro Acosta. Neither of these scenarios supports Morera's rise or Marc's efforts to promote him. Marc has mentored Morera and believes the young Brazilian is ready for MotoGP now. But unless Ducati makes a bold move, Honda might get there first. Reports suggest Honda has offered Morera a 3-year deal worth €1.5 million per season, placing him initially at LCR and then promoting him to the factory team. So why won't Ducati listen to Marc Marquez? There are 3 key reasons. First, loyalty to Pecco Bagnaia. Ducati sees Pecco as the centerpiece of their Italian project and don't want to risk destabilizing that by giving Marc too much influence or replacing Pecco with Alex. Second, Ducati has already made a commitment to another rising talent, Fermin Aldeguer. Aldeguer has earned a factory contract and even stood on the podium at Le Mans. At just 20 years old, Ducati views him as their future. Giving Morera a fast track as well might create an overload of young prospects. Third, VR46 has autonomy. Even though they race with Ducati machinery, the team makes its own decisions. They are not obligated to promote a rider just because he is close to Marc Marquez. They may value Morbidelli's experience or Acosta's market appeal more than Marc's recommendation. All of this leaves Marc Marquez feeling powerless behind the scenes. On the racetrack, he's dominant. But when it comes to Ducati's long-term strategy, his influence is limited. Morera is expected to make his MotoGP debut by 2026, but which manufacturer he races for remains uncertain. Carmelo Espeleta, CEO of Dorna, has already stated that Morera is having a big impact in Moto2 and that multiple MotoGP teams are interested. These include Trackhouse Aprilia, Repsol Honda, and Pramac Yamaha. Yamaha, in particular, sees an opportunity to expand into the South American market and is looking at Morera as a major part of their 2026 project, potentially alongside World Superbike champion Toprak Razgatlioglu. The Japanese teams see not just a racing talent, but a marketing asset. Meanwhile, Ducati is stuck. Internal contracts, political loyalties, and organizational priorities are tying their hands. Morera's reputation also took a small hit at Sachsenring, where he rejoined the track in an unsafe way and was penalized with a pit lane start in Brno. He also had a heated battle with Jake Dixon, who called him desperate due to aggressive contact. Still, commentators like Michael Laverty praised his recovery and called it impressive. But in the eyes of Ducati, taking a second big risk after already investing in Aldeguer might be too much, unless a team like VR46 steps aside. All of this highlights the bigger issue. Marc Marquez may be winning races, but he's not steering Ducati's future. The factory is clinging tightly to its brand image, its internal hierarchy, and its long-standing riders, even if that means turning away from the advice of the man who brought them back to the top. They don't want an all-Marquez factory team. They aren't ready to push for a Brazilian prodigy, and they remain loyal to a struggling Pecco Bagnaia, who is no longer a championship threat. The question now is whether this conservative approach will pay off. Marc Marquez has already changed the story of the 2025 season through his performance. But the outcome of this season may depend on more than just race results. It may come down to whether Ducati chooses to empower its star rider or continue to hold him at arm's length. Diego Morera is coming to MotoGP, but unless things change soon, it won't be with Ducati. And for Alex Marquez, the dream of riding beside his brother in the factory garage is slipping away. Ducati seems determined to keep the brothers separated, both on the track and in the boardroom. But with 10 races left in the season, this story is far from over. If Marc Marquez continues to dominate, Ducati may soon have no choice but to listen to the man they once feared and now rely on.